When people think of the Punisher, they think of Frank Castle and how his life of butchering criminals is pretty pog and someone should make a comic of that. I'd read the hell out of that, and I did. Punisher Max is one of the best comics I've ever read, and was used as inspiration in several, if not all, of the live-action adaptations. One in particular got a video game. The Punisher, the game, made by Volition of Saints Row fame, is the best Punisher game out there, unfortunately. Because while this game is good, it's 17 years old. It's the last game the Punisher got, and since then, the sequel was cancelled. But what if I told you there was another game? A game that is a perfect match for anyone who wants to play as the Punisher but doesn't have a PS2 or the PS2 game. Well, stick with me and I'll tell you how Mafia 3 is the perfect Punisher game. Before we start fully, this game, I will admit, has several flaws to this day. It still has several bugs, however my specific experience with Mafia 3, through the 3 times I've beat it, I never encountered any game-breaking bugs, glitches, and my game didn't crash any more than a usual game does. There were frame drops here and there, as well as minor bugs, but overall my experience wasn't damaged by bugs in any major way. I do know that I am lucky though, as I play on console and not everyone on console will have the same experience. So with that disclaimer out of the way, let's go on to the video. I'm not here to give a thorough description of the story, or the writing, the time period, or anything about Mafia 3 as a story in any way. No matter how much I love this game's writing, story, and how it doesn't shy away from the racism that a black man in the 60s would feel, it's not what I'm here to gush about. That's a separate video. That Volition sequel I mentioned at the beginning was going to be an open-world Punisher game that seemed to play a lot like Saints Row, but that's pretty normal for Volition to recycle and reuse literally everything since they throw animation hasn't changed since 2005. And while I'll be lying if I said I wasn't a little disappointed that the Punisher never got another game. The Punisher is really cool, and I would actually love a new video game about him. If Wolverine gets to have one, I think Frank should too, gosh darn it. That brings me back around to Mafia 3. Let's start by going over the main character story. Lincoln Clay, a Vietnam veteran, a mountain of a man,
Send you to bring Lincoln Clay home. Not the big nigga who ate him.
comes home after being one of the most badass of badasses in the war. He's reunited with his family, but not for long as the Italian mafia comes to kill Lincoln's family and shoots him in the head.
You shouldn't have said no.
After miraculously surviving, our main man Lincoln goes out on a revenge quest to brutally murder the people who killed his family, but not before humiliating them by destroying their entire criminal enterprise, killing the enforcers, destroying weapon lockups, and doing anything and everything to burn the Italian mafia to the ground. Now, I hope I don't have to, but for the sake of the video, I will now be discussing Frank Castle's backstory. Frank Castle, a Vietnam veteran and a mountain of a man, comes home after being one of the most badass of badasses in the war. He's then reunited with his family, but not for long, as the Italian mafia kills his family and kills him. But unfortunately, he didn't die. After miraculously surviving, our main man Frank goes out on a revenge quest to brutally murder the people who killed his family, but instead of stopping there, he continues to kill brutally and systematically destroy criminals forever. There are multiple similarities in their stories, and Lincoln Clay, let's be honest, is just the Black Punisher. So when I'm playing this game, I just can't help but pretend that I am the Punisher just going about his regular day, in my opinion. At least, that makes the game's repetitive gameplay loop a lot more bearable. Especially since you're trying to be as brutal as possible, so there's a lot more tension in the battles because you aren't just taking cover and shooting like a pussy. You're charging in at people like a fucking coked up madman, putting a gun in one guy's mouth before blowing out his brains, and afterwards tackling the guy's partner who is trembling in fear before slamming your fist into his skull. This is a much more intense way of playing the game, and it really gives you more of a life or death feeling because Lincoln isn't Superman and can die relatively easily. The way I see it, most people playing the game, it makes me think no wonder you guys didn't have any fun, because they're either sitting behind one piece of cover and just popping one guy after another until they're all dead, or they whistle and kill all the guys without getting into a fight. Instead of playing the game, in my opinion, the better way, which is running in, tackling one guy, breaking his neck with your foot, then shooting another guy in the head before lunging at someone for a finisher so you can stun the surrounding enemies, allowing you time to take cover and shoot the remaining enemies behind cover. It feels much more like a movie that way, like, choreographed, and it's much more exhilarating. You'll die more often, although to be fair, I only died like 5 or 6 times, but when you master it, you can take out an entire construction site and walk out after leaving a pile of bodies. Until a real Marvel licensed Punisher game inevitably comes out one day, I genuinely think that Lincoln Clay's story in Mafia 3 is the perfect Punisher game, and you should check it out. It helps that the game's main bad guys are mafiosos and clansmen, because scumbags and lowlives are who the Punisher goes after, so you can slot Lincoln Clay out with the Punisher pretty easily. There are some things that you can't, obviously. Lincoln is a criminal, and he does... we won't get into that. That's a separate video, like I said. Lincoln Clay does just happen to be taking down Mafia, as well as, like, you know, the Klan. I don't think Hangar 13 intentionally made this game with the Punisher in mind, but this is the perfect Punisher game, so let's just call it a happy little accident. Thanks for watching, everyone. Bye-bye.
Welcome to the Bone Rattler. Ain't much resting in peace going on here. To ensure a safe ride, keep your hands, arms, and legs inside the caskets at all times. And keep an eye on them kitties now, you hear? Enjoy the ride, y'all.
I know. Boys done. Don't know. Look at George's boys. Fucking dropping us. Handing us our asses. Balls. Hey, motherfucker! We know you're around here somewhere. Get my ass out of this shit. You're dead, cocksucker. You know, we can work something out. All you gotta do is die.
I'ma tear him a new one.
What you waiting for? Smoke his ass. Yeah, burn, boy. Can you get around him? Get my ass behind something. I can't keep losing guys like this. Get this shit done.
Ride in the country. Hop on in and go for a spin. When you're back on solid ground, that's good. Well, folks, you made it all the way to the paddle wheel. And Lord have mercy, it's worth it. 'Cause there ain't a prettier sight than the view from the top. But don't take my word for it. Welcome, y'all. Oh, you'd like to hear a story? Well, I just happen to have one. So why don't you sit for a spell and have a listen to my tale about that devil beast known as the
the bayou, far outside our civilized city. It was a place where slaves ran to hide from the world and hoped to call home. But something else called this place home too. Something evil. And it was watching. Waiting. Now say what you will about the life of a slave, but those days brought the Negro folk closer to God. Saved many a soul from the lake of fire that it did. But soon they started backsliding, returning to the ways of their African ancestors. And an elder named Papa Virgil led them back to that old heathen practice known as voodoo. And good old Papa Virgil, well, he took on a new name, Baron Saturday. That evil in the darkness knew this was his time. Men, women, even children started going missing. A great fear took hold of folks, and a name was whispered throughout the village. The Rougarou. A fierce man-beast covered in fur, monsters with claws to match. Many Negro men went hunting the Rougarou, but none of them returned.
There you go.
Desperate to fend off that beast, the simple-minded folks scoured the banks of the bayou with voodoo dolls. Horrific things made of human bones and hair, and painted in blood. But this dissuaded the Rougarou not one bit. And some say things got worse, much worse. The hero they needed came in the form of a young priest, Father Michael. The Lord called Father Michael to save those lost sheep who'd gone astray and killed the Rougarou. He stalked the beast for days, but in the end returned to the village empty-handed. Guide me, oh Lord, my God. If only your will. That night, Father Michael woke to terrified cries filling his ears. The Rougarou. And as the fear-filled villagers ran far from the beast's vicious screams, Father Michael ran toward them, determined that whether it be
You need to run this through, boy. You think you can come in here and steal my heroin without nobody noticing?
I'm not here to steal your heroin, Richie. I'm here to make you pay for what you did to Sammy and Ellis Robinson.
I didn't have nothing to do with it!
I watched you stab Ellis in the gut. I couldn't do nothing about it then, but I sure as hell can now.
God damn it! None of that was my idea, you hear? It was all Georgie, him and his old man. They wanted y'all gone, not me. What was I supposed to do? Say no?
Either that or make sure that I was dead.
Oh, no. No, please. Please, listen. Just decent thing would be to let a man get in a prayer before you kill him.
You can pray on the way up.
When I saw Richie Doucette hanging...
Easy, mother...